slides.
Hi, I'm Jessica Bailey. I'm the Director of Admission and Enrollment Management at Ursuline Academy of Dallas. We're an all-girls independent Catholic school in Dallas.
Hello, I'm Carlin Johnson Brown. I am also Director of Admissions for Immaculate Heart for the high school, and we are an all girls independent Catholic school as well in Los Angeles. We actually have grades 6 through 12.
My name is Kirk Gossman. I'm Director of Enrollment Management and Access at Woodside Priory in Portola Valley, California. We're a 612 day and boarding school.
We are 9 through 12, so high school. We are in Dallas in a neighborhood called Preston Hollow, but we have kids coming from, I think, almost 100 different zip codes. We rely solely on carpooling. We don't do any other transportation. We've tried in the past to do buses and things, but kids are so busy after school, and there's no consistency. And so, we would just direct families to our directory and say, hey, find people with your zip code and reach out to them, which is super intimidating if you are coming from a school that maybe you're the only student coming from your school or something like that. GoKid is, what appealed to us about GoKid was it created this community online where families don't have to feel like they're just reaching out to a stranger, but they know these are families that are willing to carpool and they're in our area. And so then they can reach out within the app. And so again, it kind of eliminates that kind of weird, I'm just reaching out as a stranger thing, because we're all here trying to get our kids to school. And so that's really why it spoke to us. I was always looking for an answer when parents would say, do you guys have buses, or do you have transportation, or how do the kids get to school? And I would be like, well, it's carpooling. You just kind of have to figure it out. And so now I have an answer. I can just say, we work with this great app and you can do it. It's super easy. And it's been, we launched in July with it in our community, and our freshman families in particular are really grateful for it as a way to organize the carpool.
And we found GoKid at a time where we had decided to sunset our bus service. We had 3 buses and we were going to different parts of Los Angeles. It was becoming harder and harder to not only decide what locations to go to because we were drawing from such a great radius, but also the post-COVID cleaning fees and insurances had gotten so astronomical. And then because students are so busy, what we found is we were paying for a 50-person bus and only 8 kids were using it a day because somebody needed to come early to take a test or stay late for whatever. So these are probably challenges that seem very familiar. So we started looking for what are options that the school can provide that not only will serve our families, but will put a little bit of the responsibility in some ways on them to help coordinate their child's school access. For us, GoKid has been immensely helpful. If nothing else, and this is just my own personal plug, I wasn't paid to say this because I don't really have to do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we give Elise and the GoKid folks our data, and they input it all. Elise will email me and say, when do you want the reminder to go out? How about such and such a date? And I'm like, that sounds great. And then she does it. So in terms of touch points, it's an easy answer, an easy solution to offer people, and it's so much less work for school admin because it really runs itself.
For Priory, really what we were looking to do is, again, kind of post-COVID times, we had gotten into a concierge style service that was astronomical in price to serve a very small portion of our community to get them to school. Despite being 10 minutes off of, or 5 minutes off of a major freeway and 10 minutes from Stanford University, we're considered a rural school. We're not on the transit lines. The bus service is infrequent out in our area. And as such, it wasn't necessarily an admission sticking point, but it was a convenient sticking point for families. I think what I mentioned last year, and I continue to see it be true now, is the benefits go far beyond transportation. It really is a community builder. We see these cross-grade collaborations happening. We see friendships between parents occurring on a regular basis. The school information network has grown tremendously just through the GoKid app. As you see, kids that are in sixth grade riding with parents in eighth grade and vice versa. And they get to learn more about what's to come, and they get excited about things in the community that they wouldn't have necessarily known about had they not been riding in the same car together. And then you just see that sense of safety and security of the younger kids at school, because they know somebody. Oh, I'm cool with the ninth grader, and they give a high five as they pass in the halls. I think that's something that you can't manufacture, and it organically done through GoKid has just been tremendous for us.
Yeah, so we definitely hear from families, because again, we're pulling from all different areas in DFW, and a lot of students will say things like, "Well, nobody lives where I live," or I don't know anyone who lives where I live, or things like that. Or parents too. They're like, "Well, we're not going to carpool because nobody lives out where we do," and I think that's what's been amazing because they can just go into the app and see within a mile radius of like how many families, and they're kind of shocked. And then that also makes them feel like, oh wow, we aren't this outlier, like we aren't this family that's coming from a strange place. They then meet the families like in their neighborhoods and create carpools. And
But what I can see when I go into the admin portal is that the families who tend to use the service are families who maybe have one or two children that came from a school where they didn't know anyone else. So again, because there is so much competition, especially in LA, we sometimes get 4 or 5 students from a feeder school, but then sometimes we get a 1-off or a 2-off. And what I've noticed is that those families really kind of hone in on GoKid and use the service because it allows them the opportunity to connect with others.
Felice provides you with like great marketing materials and things that you just kind of plug in your school stuff, and then you can do other fun creative things. So it's like you're set up for success with the marketing materials that they have, and then you can kind of tailor it to your community. And so this like just really worked for our group. And we just recently sent another reminder to register, and so we did a giveaway for our families. So all of the families that had registered, we like drew 3 names, and they got a $25 gift card to our school store. So that was something we did too. And so we posted that on social media and said like, congratulations to these families, you won for registering with GoKid. And then I just messaged the girls and said, hey, come by my office and get your gift card. So it was super easy. So
I worked closely with our marketing team, and we really wanted to highlight GoKid, in part because of how great it is, but also in part because the schools completely subsidizes it. It's a free option for families. And as you know, especially with private school, sometimes it can feel like families are being nickeled and dimed, or that everything is a new add-on or a new fee. So while we still do have a fee option, we really, really, really wanted to highlight this is something that you can do that we are picking up the cost for. And so every child has a right to find a school buddy, a carpool buddy. And I can't take the credit for this. This is all of our marketing team. But I sort of just said, here are all the materials, which has been mentioned. Felice gives you great things. And then they took it and ran with it. And I'm just really proud of it because I feel like it really speaks to who we are as an institution now in a way that shows the inclusivity in our mission. So really excited that it's sort of front and center.
I am utilizing GoKid as part of my admission conversations at fairs, at open houses. I'm passing out the flyers during open house. And then last year I did put it in the offer letters. There was a GoKid flyer in there as well. Really, it's about answering the question before it's asked. Oftentimes after admission letters go out, we'll get the phone call. Well, do you have transportation? Do we have a way to get there? Do you know if anybody lives in my neighborhood? All the conversations that I'm sure you hear as well. This gave an opportunity for them to see like, oh, wow, this is something that is already there. So they've thought about this. And again, it's subsidized. I would say that they are undercutting themselves on what they charge. It's so affordable. It's really a no-brainer. If you get 10% of your community to use it, it still makes sense, right?
I think it's huge. Like that was, I mean, again, when I was in your position last year and then saw the cost, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a no-brainer, right? I mean, like buses cost tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes, like a year for schools. And I think I would say the customer service alone is worth the total cost because again, if a parent reaches out to, if we send an email saying like, hey, don't forget to register for or for GoKid or whatever, or we put something in our newsletter, our weekly newsletter, and a parent responds and says, hey, I'm having trouble with whatever, I just like forward it or tell them, email this email to GoKid and they take care of it. And it's like an immediate solution. And so I think that alone, like me not having to be the one to figure out what the issue is or how to fix it or go into the admin portal and somehow do something like that, again, it runs itself. It's like totally on the parents, and then GoKid supports the parents.
One of the things that I feel is such a great return on our investment is that in July, when we're fielding, or I wouldn't even say July, let's say spring, we had a school near us this year close, which meant our admissions cycle, which we thought was coming to an end, kind of got revved up again, and we found ourselves doing everything again, shadow visits, campus tour, like we just needed to serve these families. So in the midst of that, to have someone reach out to you and say, hey, can we schedule a meeting because it's time to think about such and such, that is huge. I didn't have to remember it. My team could say, oh, yes, in the midst of the craziness, we had the fires this year in LA. We had a lot of families losing their homes. To have somebody else managing the timeline and reaching out and doing it with you is a partnership that I don't think exists in a lot of ways, like not with a lot of vendors. So I really, really appreciate not only are the families getting the care they need, but we are also getting that care, and that it's not like GoKid's like, well, you never told us you needed an update, so I guess you're good, right? No, they're constantly haven't heard from you or need to check in with you, or let's set up a meeting. All right, we sent one round of invitations. We're ready to send the next round. We're going to schedule it on this date. Is there a problem? Does that work for you? Like that right there to me is worth the cost. So GoKid also, by providing support for carpooling, really underscores the value of that time that you get in a car as a parent with a child, or as a neighbor with a group of children, or on a rotation. And that's something that, again, you can't really put a price on that. It's one of the few one-on-one or 1 to 3 or whatever spaces that we still have left with our children in this busy world.
The return to the admissions team, we have a small team. We're juggling a lot of items, as all of us are. And it's not a matter of, well, when we get to it and it's taking something off our plate, it's a matter of prioritizing. And unfortunately, the carpool discussion doesn't get prioritized when we have other things that we're trying to do. So GoKid kind of takes that and runs, and allows us to free up that time and not be providing a disservice to our families that are seeking information. Another kind of casual benefit of this is we're in a town that has a CUP. We have to report our traffic numbers on an annual basis. This has dramatically reduced the number of cars that we have coming into our campus. So there's benefits that are environmental, there's benefits that are community-wide, there's benefits that are time savings, not just for the admissions office, but for our parents as well. So like the return on investment, it's really unbalanced, because I feel like the investment is really an investment in ourselves, and we have to do nothing. Felice really does everything. So it's been fantastic. And I'm not one to blow smoke where there's no smoke to be had, but it really has been one of the best vendor relationships that I've entered into in my time in admissions.
It is really helpful on the administrator's portal to see by the carpools generated how much sort of your emissions have gone down, what your contribution is in terms of green space and sort of green activities. So that is something, again, that we will put on the website and or email our families like a few times a year.
That was another thing. So a lot of our coaches talked about how they had to create carpools. Like once they set their team, then they would be like the first, week or two before season started, parents were like, well, we need to figure out carpools and stuff like that. And this is something that also they can direct. It's really nice because families create almost like a profile for themselves, so they can put their details in there and say, I mean, if they have multiple students, they can say, Janie is a soccer player, Lisa is a volleyball player, and then you can put that in
We
there.
used to get a lot of questions like, little Janie made the team. I didn't think she was going to make the team. Now what do I do? We don't get any of those questions anymore because through the portal and the app, the connections, once that roster goes out, then parents can take that roster and compare it to the folks that have opted in. They can see in real time who the students are. So some of that, like you're saying, that sort of issue around sports has been really negated, like really downplayed. So it's been really great for us.
Like where we see the highest utilization is with our performing arts. We have a 0 period in the morning for orchestra, jazz ensemble. They come an hour before school starts, 3 days a week. We see a high concentration of carpooling then, and then our athletics in the afternoon and evenings. These kids have a way to get home and are able to participate fully and not have to leave practice early.
So the short answer is, was there pushback? Yes, there was pushback. We went from a bus system to now you have one of these 3 options. So we had people saying like, I'm not sending my daughter on the train. Fair enough. It's a personal preference. We also had families saying, I really liked the bus. But what we discovered in our digging is that what parents liked was the nostalgia of the bus. They like the idea that the bus is this collective sort of ode to the way back, where kids are on there together and they're talking and they're, sharing apples and lunches and what have you. But the other thing that we saw with the bus option and now with this concierge option is that what it was doing was it was serving the families who could afford it, and everybody else was sort of out in the cold, which didn't really speak to our mission. So by having the carpooling option, and once we take time to explain that to people, like this is something everybody can utilize versus the set aside cost prohibitive option that some families can't tap into, then we saw our numbers increase and more of an acceptance. Okay, well, the bus is no longer an option. So was there some grumbling? Yes, but it was short-lived.
The pushback really was, well, I don't know this person. It's like, well, you don't know the bus driver either, right? And I can tell you that the kids are a lot better behaved in a car with a parent than they are on a bus with a group of kids. So the safety, once you get into the safety, and then they start seeing the benefits. As soon as they try it, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so much better. Like, so sorry. Yeah. So it's been fantastic.